Everybody, Dean Cain here. And for those who don't know, I am a sworn law enforcement officer as well as being a filmmaker. I felt it was important to join with our first responders to help secure the safety of all Americans, not just talk about it. So I joined up. And here's your opportunity to join ICE. You can earn lots of great benefits and pay. Yet since President Trump took office, ICE has arrested hundreds of thousands of criminals, including terrorists, rapists, murderers, pedophiles, MS-13 gang members, drug traffickers, you name it. Very dangerous people who are no longer on the streets. You can defend your homeland and get great benefits like a $50,000 signing bonus. Think about that. Student loan repayment legally, enhanced retirement benefits, and special pay for those in the field operations and law enforcement roles. I don't get that special pay, but you also don't need an undergraduate degree. You can get to work right away. So if you want to help save America, ICE is arresting the worst of the worst and removing them from America's streets. I like that. I voted for that. They need your help. We need your help to protect our homeland and our families. So check into it, as I said, and join today if it's something that tickles your fancy.
Dean Cain can't escape 1992. He can't escape the one role he played as Superman. He can't get away from it. In fact, I don't know if he added, hopefully, I really hope he didn't add that Superman music. I really hope he didn't. Hope someone else reposted that and put that on because that's just pathetic. And also, dude sat backwards in the chair. Again, I'm going to relate to the young people. So guys, how you doing? Who still does that? That was a trope back in 1987. If you sit backwards in your chair, you're showing the kids that you're not going to go with the man. You're non-conforming. You're going to do things the different way. You know what? This guy's a rebel. He sits backwards in his chair like a fucking loser. But he wants to tell you guys to join ICE. You don't need a degree. You can be a dumbass. As long as you're angry, violent, and aggressive, and you're broke as hell, and you need some money that we've siphoned and stolen from the rest of Americans, we're going to give you some of it to join on and be a part of the Gestapo. Isn't that great? And Dean Cain wants to protect people from rapists. Think about the president. Rapists, pedophiles. So he wants to get them off the streets. Is Dean Cain going to put a mask on when he goes to the streets to try and rip people away from their families, or to take someone off of a job site that they're on? Is that what Dean Cain's going to do? Let me show you what Dean Cain is joining up for. Let me show you some of the things that Dean Cain just gave that stupid ass ad for that he wants to join and says is taking violent criminals off the streets.
He's coming with you, ma'am. I don't have any choice. I don't have any choice.
No, mami.
No, aquí estoy contigo.
Will you stand up and come with us?
No, vale. No vale. Please. I understand, sir, but you have to come with us.
Please, no.
Listen.
Señor, se me veía bien en un momento. Ya está muy tarde. Ya, abuelita, no ves que está pasando. Ya está muy tarde. Abuelita, ya no hay cómo hacer nada.
Hey, watch us get
If it tickles your fancy to rip children away from their parents while they're crying and saying, no, please, why, stop. If it tickles your fancy to snatch children away from their moms because you're going after violent criminals, rapists, drug dealers, human traffickers, you can be a human trafficker too. You can break the law. You can bust through the Constitution. You can follow behind Donald Trump, and you can be a piece of shit too. Just follow Dean Cain. Look at his face. It looks like a piece of shit. Just follow Dean Cain. He's Superman. He played a role of an illegal immigrant that came from not another country, but another planet that was falling apart. I think it blew the f*** up before he got away. Landed on some old people's farm and was taken in And did they look at that kid and go, get this weird alien out of here? Superman is literally an alien, but he wants you to take part in that kind of activity. And after you take part in that kind of activity, maybe one of the places you can go to do that outside of snatching children from their mother's arms is at immigration hearings. You know, those places where Republicans tell you if immigrants come into this country to do it the right way and you'll have citizenship. Instead, this is the way they approach immigration hearings.
At the same time he is deporting undocumented migrants, about 100 immigration judges have been fired or transferred, or they've resigned.
In July alone, 20 judges have been let go. We talked to 3 of them about how it went down.
It was arbitrary, unfair, and it's an attack on the rule of law. It's an attack on judges.
George Pappas, Jennifer Payton, and Carla Espinoza were all fired this month by email. They'd been federal immigration judges who together ruled on thousands of cases in Chicago and Boston. Did they give you a reason why in your email?
My email was 3 sentences. I had no cause, I had no explanation.
We as judges were in fear, we were concerned, and that makes it very difficult to be impartial. We were not succumbing to that pressure, but it does feel like pressure.
Were you ever told how to rule?
Yes.
What'd they say?
They told me, grant the motions to dismiss. This is when ICE was roaming the courthouses, because if we dismiss the case, that person that responded then leaves the court vulnerable to immediate apprehension and expedited removal.
Just so people understand, you grant a motion to dismiss the case.
Correct.
Now the individual, what?
They are no longer in proceedings.
Once they left the courtroom, more often than not, they will be handcuffed and led away by the ICE officers.
You know, justice. Firing immigration judges and telling them how to rule cases and to dismiss them so that they can walk into hallways. And since that case is no longer there, they can take them and send them out of here. Because, you know, violent rapists, drug dealers, human traffickers, and murderers show up at immigration hearings on time and regularly to get their migration status standard. As long as you go after those folks, you're fighting all of this crime in our country. Again, Dean Cain wants this process to continue on. You get to be on the streets. That leads then to people going after immigration judges, which then sends people to places like this.
I thought it would get better, but it never did. It's inhumane the way that they're keeping their residents. When I got there, it was overwhelming.
She shared her state of Florida credential, which lists her position as a corrections officer.
They said it was going to be 5 days on, 2 days off. I was aware that it was going to be the alligator Alcatraz. We had to use the porta-johns. We didn't have hot water half the time. Our bathrooms were backed up. It looked like an oversized dog kennel.
She says each tent had 8 large cages.
Each pod holds 35 to 38 inmates. They have bunk beds in them. They have no sunlight. There's no clock in there. They don't even know what time of the day it is. They shower every other day or every 4 days. The bathrooms are backed up because you got so many people using them.
On rainy days, she says, the water pours into the tents.
Not everybody there is a criminal. These people are still human. You've pulled them from their livelihood. They're scared. They don't speak our language.
Lindsay says she was fired from the facility after she caught COVID and was accused of altering medical paperwork submitted to the company. She denies the allegations and says she's coming forward because of what she saw.
And yeah, I was fired. And yeah, I'm pissed off. But more so than ever, like, they're doing wrong.
That woman used to work at one of the most notorious internment camps that we have in the United States of America, Alligator Alcatraz, and she was telling her story of what it was. I want to talk about the irony of her being fired over catching COVID, by the way. I remember when this guy was in office the first time and he was covering that up and acting like that wasn't a big deal. Now that someone catches COVID, you get fired for that because we can't make COVID. That suddenly is real. Whatever. But she was fired and talked about all the details and the disgusting things that go on at Alligator Alcatraz. And that's where they're sending people. Overflowing toilets, flooding every time it rains. It's in the middle of Florida, bro. Sorry, it's like in the Everglades. And no running water, no hot water, no showers, no cleaning, nasty ass food. We've seen it. It's not like this one lady that they then fired and said is this ragtag woman came up with this whole story herself, especially since we saw some Florida representatives, Democratic ones, go down there and try to get in and get a glimpse of what was going on. And they reported the same stuff of the little bit that they saw. I want to go back a little bit to these fired immigration judges. Because again, as we're seeing, we're completely bypassing the Constitution. Dean Cain is very happy about us bypassing the Constitution. He's happy about us torturing people in internment camps. Dean Cain wants to recruit more of you idiots to go help them put more people in internment camps in the United States of America.
Take a step, back up, back up. CBS News has reported on the numerous cases where ICE agents detained immigrants as they exited their court hearings. With about 600 immigration judges left, courts now face a backlog of nearly 4 million cases. President Trump says it could take 200 years to resolve all these cases.
It is my opinion that this administration could give a hoot about the backlog.
The administration says repeatedly, these folks are here illegally, that's breaking the law, they gotta go. Do they have a point?
Well, that's why they're in proceedings in court. There is law that we're applying, and they might have to go, they might not.
What's at stake here?
It's really the future of our country. If the funding is going to enforcement and there's no justice left, that shows that our country is no longer embracing the need for due process and for justice.
That's a big statement. The future of the country is at stake here. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. If you're attacking the very judges that adjudicate cases, there's not going to be a rule of law. That should concern everybody, not just immigrants, but U.S. citizens.
Today is them, is immigrants. What about tomorrow? Who's going to get due process denied next?
He already told you who's going to get their due process denied next. He told you that during the campaign. He wants to send homegrown criminals next. And as they keep calling everybody that they do this to a criminal, that little kid that was crying in their mother's arms, that criminal, you can be next if you defy the fascist in the White House. And these immigration judges that were fired, I remember people saying that folks with Trump derangement syndrome kept talking about how they're going to try and violate the law. They've violated the rule of law, and they're going after due process. That Nazi also, that's one of his main assistants, Stephen Miller, talked about how they're looking to negate due process. He said it months ago as they're doing it. So when judges say it, if you have this mindset, you're like, well, those judges are saying because they got fired. They got fired because they were still trying to follow the rule of law and also due process. And what it leads down to is the kind of people in power who literally either don't know what due process is or they're happy to violate it. This last guy, he's the Indiana lieutenant governor. His name is Micah Beckwith. He falls in that first category of the dumbasses who absolutely have no idea what due process is because they're way too racist to figure it out.
So due process is in this situation is: are you here legally?
That isn't.
That is due process. Yes, it is.
Due process is getting arrested and charged with a crime and seeing a judge, and these people are not seeing a judge. That's not true.
They don't have a right to see a judge.
Why?
They came here illegally. They came here illegally.
If you are on American soil, your status does not matter. You have a legal right in this country for due process.
That's the lieutenant governor of a state in the United States, and he doesn't know what due process is. In fact, he thinks as long as you're here and I can call you whatever I want, I get to do with you whatever I want and bypass the judicial system. And they still call themselves Americans, freedom-loving Americans. But as long as I don't like you, as long as your skin is too brown, as long as I can look at you and not like what you say and your stances and your freedom of speech, that other right that we've got, I can go ahead and do whatever I want to you because I've got the power. And what's backing me are 18-year-olds that we're recruiting with long guns to run on the streets and snatch people out of their families' arms.